Welcome to the 2021 Commodity Discovery Fund Awards ceremony. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the CEO of the Soar Financial Group and your host for this ceremony. We are here in the Netherlands. We're just outside of Amsterdam and we're at the beautiful offices of the Discovery Fund. And I'm joined by Willem Middlekoop, CEO and founder. Willem, thanks for hosting us. Thanks for having us here at your beautiful offices. How are you?
I'm fine. Great to have you back, because I remember you were sitting here at this desk 6 or 7 years ago trying to promote a mining story, and now it's great to have you back.
I've been scratching my head which one it was actually, but it has been a while, so it's great to be back and always good to see you again, Willem. Give us a bit of the history of the fund itself, like what made you to incorporate a discovery fund and the idea of the award.
Yeah, I always call myself a discovery investor, and it's a rare breed, even in the mining space. There are very few worldwide who have a fund fully focused on discovery investing. So we're specialized in making investments in small companies, being responsible for very large and important and significant discoveries. That's why we organized this Discovery Day. We started that 4 years ago because we always had our annual meeting for our investors. We have 1,400 high net worth investors into our fund. So we always need to organize an annual meeting, and then I decided to invite some companies working on the best discoveries, presenting their stories as well, and we called it our Discovery Day. And then after 2 years, I thought we should have a Discovery Award, because there's not one single award from Europe for the best Tier 1 discovery. So that's how it all started.
Interesting. And are you invested in all those companies? Like, in how big of a position are they in your portfolio?
Yeah, we started the fund real small. I was a private investor in this space already in 2004, 2005. I even wrote a Discovery Alert newsletter together with Terence, our co-fund manager. He's the chair of the jury. When I was working on this newsletter, some friends from the financial industry came up to me and they told me, "You're stupid. You sell your best discovery tips for $99. You should close that service and build a fund." And that's how we started. And we started with just a few million. And now we have over 170 million Canadian. And so the fund has really grown quite a bit. And we invest in over 100 exploration. Actually, we try to invest in the top 100 exploration discovery stories worldwide. In the first few years, we concentrated on North America, Canadian listed stocks, American listed stocks. 4 years ago, we started to investigate and research Australia. And now, I must say, the best discoveries are being made down under. So we're very happy that we have a 24/7 operation. We have a full-time researcher in Hong Kong now, full-time researcher in Vancouver, Seattle, and of course we work from Europe.
Okay, you sort of took my next question away a little bit, because I want to talk about the trends in discovery investing. This is the 4th Discovery Day you're doing. What has changed over the years, and like how has focus shifted a little bit?
Well, I think discovery investing is becoming more mature. It used to be the retail guy, who was on co.ca and specific websites looking for tips. But now we see more and more funds entering this space. We studied this space very well, and we've seen a few times that a fund being specialized in exploration companies grew during the bull market towards 1 billion fund, and then during the correction collapsed. We've seen that a few times. And we try to avoid this boom-bust cycle by only investing, let's say, 60% of our fund in exploration plays and the other 30-40% in ETFs and very liquid names. And by using ETFs, you can even add a few names so you can hedge the downside risk using the DUSD or whatever.
Okay. Commodity Discovery Fund, how agnostic are you? Do you only focus on precious metals, or do you mix in some base metals, battery metals? Tell us a bit more about that.
Great question. We started as the Gold Discovery Fund, so the name shows it. It was very focused on precious metals. We changed the name after a few years into Commodity Discovery Funds because we learned that we should be metal agnostic. It's about the value creation of discoveries. And we don't care if it's copper, zinc or nickel, but we like to have a large share of our positions precious metals related. So we're Well, so we're well placed to survive any crisis. So on average, our precious metals related investments are 50 to 70%. But as said, we're metal agnostic. Even a uranium discovery or diamond discovery is welcome here.
Let's talk valuations real quick. Discovery investing.
Yeah.
You can take a company from 1 million pretty much to 1 billion.
Yeah.
Right. Where do you see yourself investing along that value chain and
That's,
like valuations? Do you get nervous when it gets to a billion, or is that when you actually start getting interested because it's been validated by the market?
In the old days, as an old guy, I can say this. In the old days, when you reach 1 billion, you had to sell your position, and we still sell quite a bit once a discovery jumps from, let's say, 50 to 100 million towards half a billion or 1 billion, because that's a psychological barrier. But if you have a great tier 1 discovery, and we have several this year on our shortlist, and the winner, if you look at the winner as well, most of them passed the 1 billion mark after, 6, 7, 8 months in the discovery cycle. So if you have a strong tier 1 discovery, a valuation of 2 or 3 billion before any takeover situation or before any production is even being considered, is quite normal. I think because of the debasement of currencies, we will get used to real strong discovery plays being valued at $3, $4, $5 billion.
So talking about the nominated companies as well, it's apparent in looking at the short list. It's Chalice Gold, De Grey Mining, we got Greatland Gold, and also Great Bear Resources. 3 of them are in Australia.
3 out of 4. And that shows a lot, because we were used to focus on North American markets as well. In 2017, because of the discovery by Novo Resources, we really decided to visit Australia, to study Australia. And we learned that actually Australia is underexplored compared to North America. And most of the retail investors are concentrated on North American markets. The Australian market is a little bit different. It took us some time to really get a feel for it. But now we're very happy to have at least 30% of our investments in Australia. And actually the best discoveries are made in Australia. If you look at the Patterson area, if you look at the whole Karratha area, Pilbara region, there's so much to be discovered there. And I think Canada is, is less attractive in a way.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Willem, appreciate the introduction. We are going to speak with Terence now and dive deeper into the companies. We are now chatting with Terence Van Der Hout. He's a co-fund manager of the Commodity Discovery Fund and chair of the jury committee. Terence, it's good to see you again. We haven't seen each other in quite a while as well.
Good to see you too. Yeah, welcome to Holland here. Welcome to your office.
Appreciate it. We brought the sunshine with us.
Finally. We've had a few days of rain. So.
Fantastic. Yeah. Terence, chair of the jury committee, we got to talk about, of course, the selection process that goes into the Commodity Discovery Fund Award, and run us a bit through it. What are you looking for in a discovery? And maybe as a second add-on to that, when is a discovery a discovery?
I suppose our investment thesis is a bit different to many. We call it discovery investing, and it requires an outlook on a world-class deposit. So I think nowadays we call them tier 1 deposits. So the initial hole or the initial holes of a drilling program need to show this potential from the outset, right? So if you're drilling 10 meters of 0.5 grams per ton, it doesn't really do much to us. So the projects that get onto our nominee list will have either the first round of drilling or preferably the first hole as an outstanding hole. So that's the first thing that we look at, because this allows us to judge from the moment the assays are released how large we want to invest initially. If the follow-up program keeps proving that world-class thesis, then obviously we can up our own investment and move on from there. So that's the first criteria is based around the discovery hole and the quality of that. Obviously, the second one is, as I've said, is based around is the tier 1 potential there immediately, or how long does it take to develop that tier 1 potential? Sometimes it takes a year or so, maybe. We can be patient with that. But there needs to be an outlook on that world-class size of the deposit. Obviously, we like takeovers, which is our exit strategy. So at some point, we will be very interested to see whether these little juniors are capable of, one, raising money for a massive drilling program, and two, attracting a partner to help them develop the project, because tier one projects mostly cannot be developed, you know, with these small exploration companies or by these exploration companies. So I suppose finally we need to make money on it, which obviously is what drives our fund, and we are looking at returns. If you can be into a company at a cycle that is not that doesn't fit, so to speak, you can be late in a cycle and not get your returns because of that, or you can just be late into the company because you weren't paying attention and not profit enough from it. So the selection of the companies has a very large component of, you know, what are the returns what have the returns been for the fund leading up to giving the award.
I've noticed the companies are quite mature, actually. Like market caps are at least over 800 million Canadian dollars or even 800 million Australian dollars. Is there nothing earlier stage that you like these days?
Yes, but so discoveries take time, right? Yeah. You will not have an outlook on a world-class deposit maybe even within 2 years, you know, realistically. Given the nature of very many of these deposits, you need to spend tens of millions into a drilling program. You need to spend you need to drill for hundreds of thousands of meters before you actually are capable of showing this world-class size. So you can have a number of discoveries, let's say, that came up last year that have that same potential, but we can't, you know, put them up for the award because you just don't know, you know, is it going to be that big? You know, it's a lot of hard work, and how many tier one deposits, you know, in the end are there that come up every year and that are developed? There's not too many of them, right? So, and that really needs to show. And the companies that we've nominated have done so within 2 or 3 years, which is really, really very quickly. So they're actually, you say they're advanced, well, they are advanced, and they have a fairly good market cap already. But you know, to be honest, there's still some risks in those companies, and it's. We don't like risks so much, so we really need to be sure that the companies that we nominate for our award are actually going to be mined, are actually going to be taken over, will be a world-class deposit. And obviously that's not done within a year or so after the initial discovery.
Maybe as a follow-up to that, like besides Chalice Mining, all other companies have been nominated in the previous year as well. Is there really a shortage of discoveries?
Not so much in Australia, because 3 of the 4 companies that we have nominated are from Australia. And there have been a few good hits in Australia this year as well. I feel that in North America there's been a bit of a lack of exploration, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, that has led to there being a bit less of grassroots discoveries last year and this year. And I think the cycle in Australia has been slightly different to that. They've kept going, and there have been discoveries even last year and this year that warrant, you know, our radar on those companies. Maybe not for this year, maybe not for next year, but the year after, as they grow that deposit. Canada also seems to be quite focused on more brownfields exploration because it's a bit easier, right? You know that stuff is there. You can come up with a decent hole because you know there's actually mineralization there. There's actually gold down there because it's been proven to be there in the past. Historic records show that it's there, and it's good for the splashy headlines. But is that going to be a mine? I don't know. Are those new discoveries? Not per se. It's not saying we don't invest in those companies, but we wouldn't see them primarily as the new, you know, discovery worthy of an award. So there's a bit of a difference there, I feel.
Yeah, moving on, I'm actually quite excited to see the nomination or the shortlist for next year then already. So, but we have to talk.
Come upstairs and we'll show you.
we will do that. But let's talk about the companies that are nominated, and we're going to go through them in alphabetical order. No meaning to it at all. But let's start with Chalice Mining. What made you select Chalice Mining, and why are they a nominee?
Yeah, Chalice Mining is an interesting company. They discovered a very interesting deposit just in March last year, with their initial hole of 25 meters of 8 grams per ton palladium and 2% nickel in the Western Yilgarn in Australia at their Julimar project. And the interesting thing about that is that that area is known for its gold endowment. There's a lot of gold companies looking for gold, exploring for gold. There's a few gold mines there, but never has there been shown to be a very significant, what's called a nickel copper PGE deposit, which is analogous to Voisey's Bay and what Norilsk is working on. And they have actually instigated a whole new sort of area run because of their discovery. That initial hole was interesting, very interesting for us, but the follow-up holes were even better. They instigated a whole closology play from that. And the outlook that they have now, we're talking about March 2020, we're now 1.5 years later. The outlook they have now is on a whole trend of 26 kilometers of this repetitive mineralization. And if you know how big Norilsk is, if you know how big Voisey's Bay is, they seem to be showing this very same potential. Moving forward, the company is now 2.5 billion in market cap, and you would think that's pretty sizable. But if you use the analogy of a Voisey's Bay, if you use Norilsk as an analogy, it really just is only the start of what they have. They're drilling at one prospect at Gonneville, and they have so much of the trend yet to explore. So there's still a lot of upside for that company, and we've already made a lot of money on it. They've moved at tremendous speed on a new type of mineralization in an area where that's not been found before. So those things add up to the nomination of Chalice Mining for our award.
Fantastic. We caught up with the CEO Alex Dorsch of Chalice Mining. Now let's switch over to the conversation with him, and we'll get back with the next nomination in a second. And we're joined by Alex Dorsch. He's president and CEO, or managing director and CEO. It's always a bit different in Australia, but of Chalice Mining. Alex, it's great to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Kai. Yeah, obviously great to talk to you, and great to be nominated for this great award.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's well-deserved as well from what I learned about the project and have seen over recent years. But I do have to be careful because I still know you guys as Chalice Gold. So, and you only renamed the company right after the discovery. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Like shortly after the discovery, we found a little bit of gold, but it was a predominantly PGE nickel copper discovery that we made. So, we figured, it wasn't quite correct anymore. Chalice Gold Mines. We do maintain an interest in a gold project over in Victoria in the Bendigo zone, but we're shortly going to demerge that as well. So I guess well and truly focused on that nickel copper PGE family.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's spend all our focus there on the Julimar project in Western Australia. And one thing I learned while preparing as well, like I wasn't aware of that, is you only staked the project in 2018. So run us a bit through the history of the project and what led to that massive discovery, of course. So why did you even think about staking there?
Yeah, so it's a non-mining area, so it's a completely new mineral province really that we've found. So in 2018-19, we really were scouring the planet for nickel sulfide opportunities. We looked all around North America, all through Australia, even West Africa. And we ended up sort of not finding too much because, as you probably know and appreciate, there's not a lot of development-ready nickel sulfide players around the planet. So we picked up a lot of exploration tenure in Western Australia in 2018, and really it was targeting sort of conceptual orthomagmatic sulfide deposits. And as you probably appreciate, they're typically located around the edges of Archean age cratons. These big nickel copper PGE deposits, some of the biggest in the world, like Norilsk, Voisey's Bay, Jinchuan, within about 100 kilometres of a craton margin. So we figured the western edge of the Yilgarn in WA was pretty poorly explored. And what we saw at Julimar was a quite prominent magnetic feature, something that hadn't been really mapped properly. It never been really identified as intrusive geology there. So we went in and we did a little bit of groundwork, spent about sort of $70,000 leading up to the first drill hole, and then drilled straight through basically 25 meters of high-grade nickel copper PGEs.
Wait. You spent $70,000 to make the first discovery.
That's right. That was the total spend to get to that discovery hole, which will probably go down as one of the most cost-effective discoveries of all time. And yeah, what made our discovery even more amazing was that it was basically high-grade, fresh sulfide mineralization from about 30 meters below surface. So it was incredible drill hole.
That is extremely impressive. Like, I do have to ask though, like, why wasn't the ground staked before? Like, why did you have to come along to sort of discover it and to stake it? Like, why was nobody else on it before?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We've asked that many times, and there has been a few prospectors who have looked in the area. A number of the majors have sort of, conceptually thought of the area as being a potential sort of, province for that type of deposit, but for whatever reason, the mapping and the lack of outcrop really, we think, is the main reason why really no one had gone in and done that next level of work. Really, no one had drilled a drill hole, and yeah, it's quite amazing because you could argue that what we found should have been found in the 1960s, 70s, nickel boom in WA, but for whatever reason, it took till 2020. It was just sort of hidden in plain sight there.
Yeah, fantastic. How did you follow up on the discovery now? What did you do over the last 18, 19 months in that regard?
Yeah, so we've drilled about 600 drill holes in the space of 18 months. We've had sort of between 6 and 9 drill rigs operating on the project since that discovery hole. So we're shortly about to report our maiden resource. So the resource is about a month away. And yeah, that we've done about 160,000 meters of drilling in that time. So you can imagine that it's been a very busy period. We've also started metallurgical test work leading into a scoping study or PEA, as you guys refer to it. So we're getting very close on that front as well. And yeah, what we're seeing is that the deposit is wide open still to the north. And so there's shortly going to be another phase of exploration, really to now look at how far does this deposit extend into a northern forest area.
Yeah, it's like how far do you think you have to take it to sort of come to actually like a production decision as well? Like that's what we're looking for, of course, as an exit. Something that the Commodity Discovery Fund looks forward to, like, is either a production decision or actually a takeout. Like, how far do you think you have to take it? Yeah,
look, we think there's a sort of staged approach with this project that makes sense. What we've found is entirely on now Chalice-owned farmland. So the deposit itself, we think we can move that ahead, get that through the feasibility sort of phase as quickly as possible. But then in parallel to that, explore that forest area to the north. And so I guess what we anticipate is that the deposit will continue to grow over the coming 3 to 5 years as we progressively move outwards with the exploration. And yeah, certainly there's been it's a high profile discovery already, so it's gaining a lot of interest. Yeah.
And in terms of size potential itself, like resource estimate, I understand you haven't put out yet. Is like going to be something you put out in conjunction with the scoping study, or can we expect that sooner?
No, so resource will go out in about a month's time. Okay. Scoping study somewhere around the second quarter of next year, calendar year. So yeah, I think the resource is really the first, obviously, stake in the ground as to what is the endowment of the current endowment of the project, and what you're likely to see as well over the next sort of next year or so is that initial sort of exploration approach being applied to another 5 or 6 different targets in the Julimar region and within this new province as well. So that's really the priorities now, is to hone in on discovery number 2 and hopefully discovery number 3 as well.
Yeah, let's talk about like maybe as a last step, like how has this discovery brought new stardom to you guys? Like what has changed for you? How has it changed who you're talking to in terms of maybe corporates and other like industry professionals?
Yeah, it's been a remarkable change, really. You know, we were a $50 million company 2 years ago with about 10 employees, and now we're sort of circa $2.2 billion dollar company with about 75 full-time employees and another sort of 50 consultants and contractors working for us. So that aspect has been it's been a remarkable growth period, really, and it's an exciting period. Really just a privilege to be part of something like that. And honestly, I have been just kicking myself and pinching myself every day, just to be part of it has been incredible. And I guess that now, as I said, the profile of the company on the back of this discovery is just completely different, right? The audience, I think, it summarizes it. People come to us now as opposed to we go to them. In simple terms, so there's no shortage of people inbound wanting to learn about this thing and understand, what it could be.
What a great achievement, Alex. Congratulations again, and congratulations on your nomination as well. Got my fingers crossed, of course, for you as well. And we should catch up very, very soon. Thanks for joining us, and we should talk about the resource in about a month's time.
Yeah, sounds great, Kai, and thanks very much for reaching out.
Fantastic. This was Alex Dorsch, and we will continue in our program with the next nomination. The next nominee is De Grey Mining, a Western Australian gold explorer. And Terence, what are the characteristics and criteria? Why did you pick De Grey Mining, and why are they nominated for the fund?
Sure. So De Grey Mining has been around for a bit, but their first hole into the Hemi project in the Patterson area in Australia that delivered a discovery was in December 2019. And they turned up with 43 meters at 3.7 grams per ton of gold, which was not necessarily a blockbuster, but it was good enough to attract our attention, particularly since at the same release, they showed high-grade intercepts at nearby prospects. So there has to be some sort of system there that was giving up all this high-grade gold. That was in December 2019. 2 years later, and after 200,000 meters of drilling, they've defined 6.8 million ounces of gold at that Hemi prospect. The grades are 1.1 grams per ton, so it's not necessarily a high-grade deposit, but it is a massive deposit. We have to bear in mind that it is refractory, so there's a few issues there that still need to be resolved. They have had very good results with the POX testing, so we're quite confident that they can actually mine this profitably down the road. But even with these grades, if you raise the cutoff grade significantly higher, they would still be able to show a world-class deposit at, say, 1.5 or 1.6 grams per ton. And we are just scratching the surface. This is just the first 3.2 kilometers of strike of a known mineralized trend that is at least 15 kilometers in terms of the targets they're finding already. I think there must be about 10 other targets that they can expand on. And there's no reason to believe that Hemi is just the only part of the system that actually will show good mineralization. It can go the trend. You can follow the trend for 15 kilometers and still find gold. So 6.8 million ounces. I think there's a lot more than they've shown so far, which is in just 2 years' time. They have a whole trend of 150 kilometers, and way out to the west, they had previously defined small deposits at Taurana and Malana. And in the east, they're finding gold mineralization as well along that 150 kilometers of trend. So they have so much to work with, and they already have such a big deposit. This just jumps off the page for us. Again, there's challenges in the metallurgy, but we feel they will be able to overcome those. Just rounding off, why do we like De Grey in particular? Obviously, is the size, the fact that it's you might think that area is very remote, but it's not. It's 60 kilometers from Port Hedland, which is the iron ore hub of Australia. So we do see, once the company can show that it can actually mine stuff, with a profit in a scoping study or a PEA, then we feel that the big miners will be running over each other trying to get that project, because it is literally one of the very few tier 1 projects that have already been shown to be a world-class deposit around at this point, and there's not many of those around.
Great, and we had a chance to catch up with the managing director, Glenn Jardine, and just stay tuned for the latest from him personally. And I'm joined by Glenn Jardine. He's the managing director of De Grey Mining, and De Grey Mining is listed on the ASX with the ticker DEG. Glenn, it's great to speak to you. We just got to catch up for a minute before we went live. Congratulations on your nomination for the Discovery Fund Award. It's my understanding it's your second nomination, so I've got my fingers crossed for you, and excited to learn more about the project and give our viewers a bit of an overview. Why don't you give a quick introduction to De Grey for us?
Yeah, look, that's great. Thank you for the opportunity. De Grey Mining has actually been around for about 20 years, and it's held the tenements where we've made the new discovery since that time. And it's been over that ground a couple of times, and finally in late 2019 and early 2020, we hit this brand new style of mineralisation at a place called Hemi, and that was the discovery.
Yeah, fantastic. So early 2020, your share price exploded. I think you were up to 7,000, 8,000% since then. It's a massive success story. Congratulations on that. But let's go back a little bit. What led to the discovery? You said you had the project for about 20 years already. A couple people, or quite a few eyes went over the project. What has changed and what led to the discovery, Glenn?
Yeah, that's great point. Look, we got some new people into the company about 6 years ago, Andy Beckwith, Alan Neeshaw and Phil Tornatora, and they had a complete relook at the bedrock geology of the Pilbara, where up until the Hemi discovery, it was never known for hosting large gold deposits. They had a complete relook. The company was refunded in mid-2019 with some new shareholders coming in. So they had the geological model, they had the money, and they went out drilling around some old anomalous gold intersections, going way back 20 years, sometimes 10, 20 years, and they intersected Hemi, which was just a massive deposit up here, massive intrusion-hosted gold deposit.
Fantastic. Yeah, congratulations on that discovery. That was late 2019, early 2020. Catch us up on what has happened since.
Yeah, so Hemi was discovered in air core drilling in 2019, and then we got some RC drilling into it in early 2020, and that was when things took off. And the guys just stepped out from that first line of drilling success at a prospect called Brolga, and then they hit a thing called Aquila, then they hit Crow, then they discovered a new zone called Falcon, and then earlier this year we discovered 2 new zones called Yukon and Eagle. So the guys have just been stepping out since February 2020 and continuing to make new discoveries.
Yeah, you've been adding 450,000 ounces per month to the resource. So I got to ask, how regularly do you update the resource, and what is factoring into those resource calculations?
Yeah, so where that number comes from was from the maiden resource that we put out in June. It was just under 7 million ounces, and that 7 million ounces was defined in a period of 13, 14 months. So that's where you get your 450,000 ounces a month from. And the reason that the ounces can be added so quickly is because these intrusion-hosted deposits are really thick, really wide, good continuous gold mineralisation, and we can, in Australia here, pump out a lot of RC drill holes from surface into near-surface mineralisation, and that's the reason why it's grown at that rate and at that cost.
Yeah. How many meters in total have you drilled so far on the project?
Hundreds of thousands. Between Aircore and RC and Diamond, we'd be drilling at the rate of 500,000 meters a year.
Wow. Okay, that's solid. That's a big number.
Sounds like a lot of meters, but it's not necessarily a lot of money.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But let's catch us up on that real quick. Capital structure and cash position. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we've got at the end of the June quarter, we had just over 70 million Australian in the bank. So, enough money to keep going with the projected, activities that we've got. And our capital structure, we've got, as a good Australian company, we've got just under 1.3 billion shares on issue, and a share price at the moment of around about $1.
Yeah. No, at least the share price is $1 because all the other companies are trading usually at a penny. So congrats on that. But you're well funded, obviously. So you said for the next steps in the development process as well. And I have to ask, what are the next steps? I saw there's a scoping study pending in the September quarter, which we're pretty much in right now.
Yeah, so we're going to put that scoping study out early next week. So keep an eye out for that. And that's going to be based on the maiden mineral resource that we put out in June at Hemi, 6.8 million ounces, plus the regional deposits, existing resource base of 2.2 million ounces. So that scoping study is going to be based on that 9 million ounce global resource. And that's going to be really worth looking out for. And then, as you were saying, following that, either later this year or early next year, we'll update the resource with the extensions that we've had at Yukon and Eagle and in other places.
Okay. One other question I had prepared for this as well, and you answered it already, is like, how do you achieve a discovery cost of $8.50 per ounce? That's a number that just jumped at me when I was preparing for our conversation. How do you get to that level? That's an insanely low number. Yeah,
look, it's, our thinnest zone here is probably Aquila, and that's about 50 meters wide. Brolga, which was the first discovery, is about 300 meters wide. It's about 800 meters long, goes down to at least 500 meters, and so when you're cranking out a whole lot of RC drilling, you can really put together a lot of ounces very quickly. And also, of that 6 million ounces, by the way, quite a fair bit of that was indicated. It wasn't just inferred mineralization, it was indicated as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like it's quite homogeneous. So drilled spacing is fairly wide, I'm assuming, even for their scoping study now. So
yeah, that's right. So, inferred, we'd probably be looking at 80 meters by 80 meters, and then indicated it's about 40 by 40. Some places would go smaller than that, but yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I know you're working on de-risking more of the project. You're working on certain de-risking studies. Like, what is your end goal? Where do you want to take this?
Yeah, so we've done quite a bit of financial modelling and looked at a few case studies, and we see the greatest long-term value for De Grey shareholders, for De Grey taking Hemi into production, and so that's where we're aiming, and that's what the scoping study kicks off. Is that process getting into production. And so all the de-risking studies we're talking about are things like, flora surveys, fauna surveys, heritage clearances, negotiations with the traditional owners, getting agreements in place, hydrology, hydrogeology, geochemistry, you name it, we're well ahead of the curve on all of those things. But yeah, we're just going to keep de-risking, keep doing metallurgical test work, and get ourselves to a point where we start developing this project.
Perfect. Yeah, let's. You mentioned scoping study next week. Let's put a bow around it. What other catalysts can we look forward to? Like scoping study, obviously being the major one.
Resource update would be another one. Again, later this year or early next year. And we remain absolutely committed to exploring this tenement package that we've got. So the tenement package here is about 150 kilometres long. And this Hemi discovery is the first time that this intrusion style of mineralisation has been discovered in the Pilbara or anywhere that we can actually find. So we are totally committed to spending money on further exploration and discovery. And to that effect, we've got around about 10 to a dozen rigs on site. Some of them doing resource work, but others doing exploration.
Glenn, fantastic. This is a great update. Really appreciate you running us through the equity story here. Congratulations on your nomination. I think we understand why that is the case, why we have been nominated for the Commodity Fund Discovery Award for 2021. Good luck, and we'll catch up very, very soon. I know we got to talk about the scoping study very soon. So thanks for joining us, and we're continuing our program. Thanks so much. Next up on the list of nominated companies for the 2021 Commodity Discovery Fund Award is Great Bear Resources, a gold explorer in the Red Lake District in Ontario, Canada. Seems like an exotic candidate. Terence, run us through the reasons why the company is nominated.
Yeah, sure. So Great Bear has been around for a bit, and the discovery they made was in 2017. That's 4 years ago. So it's been around for a bit. The discovery hole that caught our attention was 10 meters at 16 grams per ton gold, but we did not invest at that time because there are a number of companies that come up with these grams per meters. But in 2019, the LP fault was found, and that was the real trigger in our view. The LP fault is somewhat different. It has multiple thin zones of high grade that dissect a huge area of low-grade bulk mineable gold over a strike length of 4.2 kilometers. I think now is where as it stands now, and that is reminiscent of the largest of Canadian gold mines. The Malartic and Detour Lake are pretty much those dimensions. In terms of investments in Great Bear, this is pretty much a classic case of how we like to do things. So we invest after the discovery, so to speak, the discovery holes. In other instances, we are lucky in getting in advance of that discovery, but this wasn't the case. But again, size is what we like about this, and we see a world-class deposit, maybe even a massive size deposit that the larger of the North American producers would have takeover battles for down the road.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the first resource out of Great Bear. It's been promised to us for next year, late Q1 late Q1 2022. Any expectations for that?
Well, we're hoping obviously world-class size for us is 5 million ounces. They should get that easily. But you can have things like a Seabridge that comes up with 20, 70, whatever million ounces that are not feasible. It needs to be feasible before we can really see it as a tier 1 deposit, right? So I think if the grades hold up down the road, maybe anywhere between 5 and 10 million might be on the books. And so that's me going out there on a limb here.
Fantastic. We had a chance to catch up with Chris Taylor, President and CEO of Great Bear Resources, while he was actually in Red Lake. Listen to the conversation. Chris, how are you doing? It's great to see you again. You're in Red Lake right now. I see you're in a hotel room. How you been doing?
Very busy, Kai. I just got out of the field, actually. Fortunately, we had a calendar reminder on my phone. It went off, and I said, oh my goodness, I got to get back to the hotel room ASAP. So I washed the mud off my face, put on a clean shirt, and here I am.
Chris, our viewers appreciate that. Thanks for doing that. And thanks for joining us here on the program. As I said, it's your third nomination. Like, our audience should know who you are by now. Give us a quick 30, 60-second rundown.
Well, Kai, the reason I'm here in Red Lake is because Great Bear was fortunate to make a major gold discovery right off the side of the highway in the Red Lake district about 2 years ago now. We call that the LP Fault Zone, and it has from surface high-grade gold along kilometers of strike length, right beside the power lines, right beside the highway. And this is what has put Great Bear really on the map, the international mineral exploration map. Discoveries like this are very rare, and we are very pleased to be working on what we have. We're now one of the most successful mineral exploration companies in the space. Certainly, it's many times shareholders that have been involved in that ride have made many times returns on their investment. But the main result is that this LP Fault Zone is simply, in terms of physical footprint, one of the biggest gold discoveries in Canada for many, many years. And if you think about the project as a whole, there are other gold zones beside that as well. So simply put, it's a very rare combination of like big gold systems that go to surface in a tier 1 mining area. So we've been busy drilling the heck out of those and getting ready for our next phase of work, which you can probably ask me about in a second. My partner in Great Bear, a founding partner, Bob Singh, he's our VP Exploration, had seen drill core from this project as early as I think about 2005. And he saw high-grade gold coming out of the ground, and we knew that this was a new belt of rocks, and we knew that there was potential for a major gold system. We looked at some historical data, geophysics, and other information that nobody had really put 2 and 2 together on, and we figured out that there are a number of areas on the project that could have hosted significant deposits. So we began drilling those in 2017. We made a very high-grade discovery in 2017. I think that was about 16 grams over 10 meters. Then we made the Hinge Zone discovery, which was about 22 grams or 22 meters of about 19 grams. And then, of course, we made the LP Fault gold discovery in 2019. And, the sequence of discovery, the project always amazes us. It just keeps delivering more and more results.
And of course, those results lead to big financings, as you mentioned. You've got $80 million in the bank. Tell us a bit about like that magic formula behind that. How did you manage to keep it up?
Well, one of the big differences between Great Bear and others is that we are unlike other management groups. We didn't have big share positions when we started this company. We actually had to buy our positions in the market and in private placements as we went. And that makes us hate dilution. So, we absolutely hate it. And that means that we've had every incentive to keep the costs low and the number of shares low at the same time. We've only raised the money that we need for each phase of work. And that means here we are with 300,000 meters drilled and still only 57 million shares. Every time we financed, it's been at higher prices. And now all the financings that we've gone through, the recent ones, have been exclusively institutional investments.
Congratulations on that. But tell us a bit about now, how are you planning to spend the $80 million?
Well, after all this drilling, we're finally preparing to get our maiden resource estimate out on the shallow portion of the LP Fault from 0 meters depth to about 450 meters depth. That's certainly not all of it. We've drilled it over twice as deep, and it's still going very strong. But we need to put out some initial mineral resources so that it sort of gives people an idea what the value of the project is, at least part of the project, and that's coming in Q1 of next year. So more drill results all the time. We are going to continue probably next year about another $40 million to $45 million exploration budget, and we'll be putting out maiden resources and a preliminary economic assessment as well. Because there were 0 drill holes in the LP Fault when we found it, all of it was exploration and expansion drilling. And now we've actually completed the drill grid over the 4 kilometer by 450 meter deep initial grid on the LP. And all the drilling going forward now, or virtually all of it, is expansion drilling on that target. So it will continue to grow and grow as we continue to do more drilling.
Well, next catalyst, you mentioned it, resource plus PEA next year. And in the meantime, lots of drill results, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We tend to put out results every 2 weeks to a month. So if anybody's interested, just follow the news. And uniquely, we put all the drill results onto the website, including when we have important results, every single individual assay that forms the composite interval. So you can download those and you can see what we see as it comes back from the lab.
Fantastic. Chris, congratulations on your nomination. We'll get my fingers crossed for you. Of course, third nomination, third time's the charm usually, right? So good luck with that. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much for joining us from Red Lake. Last but not least, and the fourth nominee for the Commodity Discovery Fund Award 2021 is Greatland Gold. They're a London AIM-listed gold explorer looking for gold in Australia. And Terence, run us through the story. Why did it jump out at you and why are you invested?
Of course. So Greatland Gold was quite easy from the outset. At the end of 2018, they returned a hole of 275 meters at 4.77 grams per ton gold plus 0.6% copper. I don't need to tell you what kind of hole that is. So that was an easy one. Follow-up holes showed the same type of intercept lengths, except the grades were a bit lower, but that was not much of a problem as the step-outs were very good. So much so that Newcrest Mining, after just 3 months, stepped in, paid £50 million for 70% of the project as an earn-in, and got on with it and really crashed into the project and started to develop it at great speed. So the entrance of Newcrest is kind of the defining factor for us, because you might think, relinquishing 70% of your project for £50 million is giving away the project, but obviously at that stage you don't have a sense of size of whether it's going to be a world-class deposit, and that was even more than the market cap of Greatland Gold at the time. So it was a good deal for Greatland Gold, and it was a good deal for Newcrest, because Newcrest is operating the nearby Telfer mine. It's about 40 kilometers to the southwest, and Telfer is depleting, so it'll run out of ore in about 3 to 4 years. Also, the mineralization at Telfer is very similar to what they're finding at Havieron, what Greatland's finding at Havieron. So it would not require an awful lot of investment to process the Havieron ore. Also, the mill you can keep running, you can keep the people employed there. So there's all types of benefits that for us make it almost a no-brainer, so to speak, that Newcrest will make a run for the whole project at some point down the road. So that's an added dimension. We must also not forget that they have now defined 3.4 million ounces of gold at about 2 grams per ton, but they have found decent intercepts below the sort of the defined resource, and Greatland Gold has a lot of area in that region to work on for themselves. We know the area is well endowed because of Telfer, because of Havieron. Rio Tinto's got a project up there as well. So there's a good chance that Greatland has more on its own project than they are working on at the moment. So there's a lot of upside to that. And in terms of investment, this is precisely the way we like to look at discovery investing. We invested after the discovery at 1.29 pence to be exact. And funnily enough, even after the follow-up drill holes, even after the inclusion or the involvement of Newcrest, a year later, the share price was 1.80 pence. So it was so much under the radar that we had so much time to accumulate anything we wanted. Sometimes these big discoveries have that. They're just they lag because nobody's watching them. So we had that luck. The share price ran up to, I think it was 37p and a bit just last year. So that would have been about 2,800% of a return for us, which is a good deal. We're happy with those types of returns. Just coming back, what is it specifically we like about Havieron? It is obviously the massive discovery hole. It is the massive size, the potential. This will be a world-class deposit. And in particular, the fact that Newcrest has every incentive to move this forward as quickly as possible and to move towards the takeover of the whole project.
Fantastic. We'll get to the awards ceremony and crown the winner. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to announce the winner of the 2021 Commodity Discovery Fund Award. Let's quickly recap. So we had four nominations. We had Chalice Mining, we had De Grey, we had Greatland Gold, and also Great Bear Resources.
The only North American,
the only North American one.
So.
And Willem, you have the honors. Who's the award winner 2021?
Yeah, we already can see the name. I will turn the award. We're very happy to present the second Discovery Award to Greatland Gold for their great project in Australia.
And Terence, we're from 4 great companies, or about 4 great companies. Why did Greatland Gold stand out for you, and what made the difference?
Okay, so each of these companies on the list, they have made a good discovery. They have an outlook or a proven world-class deposit. They have good infrastructure. But the extra addition that Greatland Gold has is the partner of Newcrest that is really intent on moving the project forward. As you know, we love takeovers, and we feel that Newcrest is going to be the partner that takes over the company. So that was just the last bit that added to Greatland Gold winning the award.
And there's still great upside, exploration upside, and they will keep 25% in the project for sure. So we think it's a great story,
This wraps up our awards ceremony. Thank you for joining us today, and make sure to visit cdfund.com for more information on the Commodity Discovery Fund. Follow Willem on Twitter as well. He's quite vocal about his investments and also his view on everything. Fantastic. Follow us also on Twitter at Soar Financial. Thanks for tuning in, and please stay safe, and hope to see you all next year in person at the next Discovery Fund Awards Day.
Discovery Day, yeah.
Fantastic.
And we'll meet in Frankfurt.
Oh, yeah. Next month we'll be in Frankfurt at the Deutsche Goldmesse.
Okay.
Fantastic. Willem, thanks for hosting us, and
Thank you too.
we'll see you soon.